Everyone thinks a marriage falls apart after kids because the love runs out. It doesn't. You still love each other. What actually happens is quieter and meaner than that. You stop being teammates and start being two exhausted roommates negotiating a merger that neither of you signed up for. Nobody warns you about that part. They warn you about sleep. They don't warn you that sleep loss is just the delivery system for the real disease. You bring the baby home and for about 3 months you are, weirdly, closer than you've ever been. You're a unit. You're up at 3 a.m. together, passing a screaming 8-pound stranger back and forth like a hot pan, and there's something almost thrilling about surviving it as a pair. Researchers who track this call the first 3 months the honeymoon of exhaustion. The joy is still covering for the damage. You don't feel the cracks yet because you're both too tired to notice hairline fractures. Imagine two people carrying a couch up 4 flights of stairs, laughing the whole way because it's absurd, and they're doing it together. That's month 1. The couch gets heavier every month. The laughing stops first. Around the 1-year mark, something shifts, and it isn't dramatic. It's a Tuesday. One of you starts keeping a tally without meaning to. Who got up last night? Who did bottles today? Who called the pediatrician? Who scheduled the vaccines? Who remembered daycare closes early on the 23rd? This is habit number 1, and it's the quiet killer. Keeping score instead of keeping teammates. You don't announce it, you just start noticing. And once you start noticing, you can't stop. It becomes the lens. Gottman's own research on newlywed couples found that 2 out of 3 report a real drop in relationship satisfaction within 3 years of that first baby. And it isn't because anyone did anything cruel. It's because the tally started and nobody called it out loud. Imagine 2 people running a small business with no accounting software, just vague memories of who covered what. That's what a mental scorecard does to a marriage. Eventually, somebody's sure they're owed more than they're getting, and they're probably right, and it doesn't matter, because resentment doesn't care about being right, it just wants to be fed. You'll laugh about it later, probably, the way you once had a 40-minute Cold War over who forgot to buy diaper cream, like the fate of the household hung on Aquaphor. It's funny, in hindsight, it is not funny at 2 a.m. Somewhere around month 14, 15, the touch starts going first, and this is the second habit, and it's the one people mistake for, we just don't have sex anymore, when it's actually broader than that. It isn't only sex. It's the 6-second hug, the hand on the small of the back walking past each other in the kitchen, the hey kiss at the door. That stuff disappears months before sex does, and almost nobody clocks it happening, because touch withdrawal doesn't announce itself, it just quietly reallocates. All day you are touched. A baby on your hip, hands in your hair, someone climbing your leg while you make dinner, and by 9 p.m. your body has filed a formal request for 0 further contact. Your partner reaches for you, and some part of you flinches, not because you don't want them, but because you are, biologically, all touched out. Researchers studying couples with kids under 5 have found sexual frequency running roughly 30 to 40% lower than couples without young children in the house, and that gap tends to open early and just sit there if nobody addresses it. Imagine a phone charger plugged into an outlet that's already got 6 other things drawing power from the same circuit. That's your capacity for affection most nights, tripped breaker and all. The real cost isn't the sex you're not having. It's that touch is how bodies say, you're safe here, without using words. And when it goes quiet, you both start reading the silence as rejection instead of exhaustion. 1 in 7 new mothers report a stretch of at least 6 months where postpartum depression flattens desire almost entirely, and if that gets read as, she doesn't want me anymore, instead of, she doesn't have any left to give, you're building the next 3 years on the wrong diagnosis. By year 2, habit 3 has taken over, and it's the hardest one to catch because it looks like nothing, looks like normal, tired married life. It's turning away from the bid instead of toward it. A bid is Gottman's term for the tiny moments where one partner reaches for the other. Look at this. Can you believe this email? I had the weirdest dream. And the whole future of the marriage, statistically, runs on whether the other person looks up. New parents are drowning in bids from a toddler all day. Look at this. Watch this. Mama, watch. And by the time your partner tries the same move at 8:45 p.m., you've got nothing left in the tank to turn toward with. So, you grunt. You say, without looking up from your phone. It costs you nothing in the moment. It costs everything over 18 months. Couples who stay happy after kids aren't the ones with fewer hard nights, they're the ones who kept turning toward each other on the ordinary ones. according to the same body of research that's been following newlyweds for decades. Imagine leaving a voicemail for someone and never once, over 2 years, getting a call back. You don't keep calling forever. Eventually, you just stop dialing. That's the real risk here. Not one big blow-up, but a slow, undramatic stop in the number of times either of you reaches out at all. You still love each other during this stretch. You've just quietly agreed, without discussing it, to stop initiating. Somewhere in year 2 or 3, habit 4 shows up, and it's the one that fools you into thinking you're doing great. You become excellent co-parents and terrible partners. Every conversation is logistics. Who's picking up from daycare? Does she need the amoxicillin refilled? We're out of diapers size 4. His teacher wants to talk Thursday. You are, by every operational metric, running a tight household. You are also, somewhere in there, 2 people who haven't had a conversation about anything other than the kid in 5 months. Ask your friends who had kids around the same time, and you'll hear a version of the same story. Priya and Dev say, married 9 years, 2 kids under 4, describing their evenings as shift change, handing off logistics at the door like nurses trading a chart. It works. It also isn't a marriage, not really. It's a small, efficient business with excellent childcare and a shared mortgage. Imagine 2 co-founders who built a great company together, and one day realize they haven't had a single conversation that wasn't about the company in over a year. The company's thriving. They're strangers. That's what parenting partnership quietly turns into, if nobody protects a corner of the relationship that has nothing to do with the kids. The cost compounds slowly. By the time most couples notice they've become co-parents instead of partners, the kids are old enough to notice something's missing too, and now you're modeling the exact dynamic you didn't want to hand down. And by year 3, if the first 4 habits have been running unchecked, habit 5 arrives, and it's the dangerous one, because it doesn't feel like a habit. It feels like your partner is just being difficult. This is when tiredness starts curdling into criticism, and worse, contempt. The eye roll, the sigh, the must be nice under your breath when they get to shower alone. Gottman's research flags contempt specifically as the single strongest predictor of divorce out of everything he's ever measured. Stronger than fighting, stronger than money stress, stronger than in-law drama. And it rarely starts as contempt. It starts as exhaustion dressed up as sarcasm. Oh, you're tired? Must be so nice. Small, deniable, repeatable. Divorce researchers tracking couples in the years right after a first baby have found separation risk climbing by as much as 40% in that 4-year window compared to couples without kids at the same relationship stage. Not because the baby did anything wrong, but because contempt, once it moves in, redecorates. It doesn't leave. Imagine a roommate who slowly starts leaving passive-aggressive sticky notes on the fridge, instead of just asking you to do the dishes. That's what contempt sounds like at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, dressed up as a joke. Except it's not a roommate. It's the person you married. And the joke lands different when it's aimed at someone whose face you used to look forward to seeing. Here's the part almost nobody says out loud. None of these 5 habits are catastrophic on their own. A scorecard for one bad week is normal. A dry patch for a month is normal. A distracted on a hard Tuesday is nothing. The damage isn't the habit, it's the compounding. 4 years of small unaddressed withdrawals, each one plausible, each one deniable, each one quietly training you both to expect less from each other. Couples who make it through this window with the marriage intact aren't the lucky third who somehow avoided a hard year. They're the ones who caught 1 or 2 of these 5 habits early and interrupted the pattern before it became identity. No exhaustion, no shortcuts, no app. Just noticing, out loud, more than you feel like you should have to. So if you're in it right now, tallying who got up last night, flinching at a hand on your shoulder, grunting at a bid you didn't have the energy for, talking logistics and nothing else, catching a contempt-flavored joke sliding out of your own mouth, that's not proof your marriage is failing. That's proof you're exactly on the statistically normal, well-documented, thoroughly unglamorous path that 2 out of 3 couples walk after a first baby. The 33% who come out the other side closer aren't smarter or more in love than you. They just turn toward each other on more of the boring nights than the average couple does, which is a skill, not a personality trait, and skills can be practiced starting tonight instead of starting never. Skip the parenting guru with the color-coded chore chart and the 11-step communication framework. You don't need a system. You need to look up from your phone the next time your partner says, "Hey, look at this," and actually look. That's it. That's the whole intervention. And it's annoyingly cheap for something that predicts divorce this reliably. And somewhere tonight, two people are bringing a new baby home from the hospital for the first time, exhausted, thrilled, carrying that couch up the stairs together, and laughing the whole way, with absolutely no idea that the scorecard, the touch starvation, the unturned bids, the shift change marriage, and the first contemptuous joke are all already quietly on their way.